Welcome to On the Ballot with Ballotpedia, where we connect people to politics by providing neutral, nonpartisan, and reliable information on our government, how it works, and where it's headed.
Hi, I'm Abby, and welcome to a comms takeover at On the Ballot. Today, I am with my fellow comms colleague, Carley, and we are happy to welcome Zoë Williamson-Crettini to the show. Zoë works with the Students Learn, Students Vote Coalition to help facilitate Voter Education Week. Thank you so much, Zoë, for coming on the Ballot.
I'm so excited to be here, Abby and Carley. Thank y'all for inviting me on.
When this releases, it will officially be Voter Education Week. So happy Voter Education Week to you.
Thank you. Happy Voter Education Week to you too. I'm very excited to celebrate voter education this week.
So Zoë, for listeners who may not be familiar, what exactly is National Voter Education Week and why does it matter?
Yeah, we like to think about National Voter Education Week as a guide to being a confident voter. So it breaks down the voting process so people feel prepared instead of overwhelmed. It's a national nonpartisan push to give people clear, timely information so they can cast their ballot with confidence. We know there's a really big gap between being registered and actually voting. You know, rules change, processes can feel overwhelming, and misinformation makes it harder to know what's true about elections. So InView really helps bridge that gap by breaking down things into everyday steps. So checking your state's rules, knowing what's on the ballot, making a plan to vote, and cutting through the noise. We found over the last, I guess this is the sixth InView, which is really exciting. Over the last 6 years, we've noticed that when people have access to accurate, trusted, and easy to use information, they don't just show up to vote. They become more confident participants in their community. And that's why InView really exists, to make sure that more voices are heard, more votes are counted, and more communities are represented.
Yeah, that's something we talk about at Ballotpedia all the time. Going to vote is kind of half the battle, but you really want to feel confident and know your choices and feel like you're making the right choice that resonates with you. So that's why this is such a good and perfect partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since we're kicking things off officially today, what should people know about how NView is structured and what's happening throughout this week?
Yeah, so we want the week to feel like a space where every voter can get their questions answered, no matter what questions they have. So whether that's why local elections matter, where their polling place is, or what their rights are at the polls. So this week is designed as a step-by-step journey, starting with checking your registration or getting registered if you're not registered, then learning what's on your ballot, making a plan to vote, and understanding your rights and the voting process, and then finally helping a friend do the same. Local partners tend to bring this alive with events, how-to content, and trusted messengers who can meet voters where they are. Every community, it's really cool. They celebrate in a way that's authentic to them. So whether that's really just the beauty of InView, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to voter education because there's no one-size-fits-all approach to communities. I'm really excited. We have nearly 600 partners across 46 states this year, which is like the biggest non-federal election year we've ever celebrated with InView. This includes community organizations, libraries, K through 12 and higher ed institutions, churches, small businesses, and like all across the country, not even in state, like even in states that don't even have local elections this year, which is really cool to see that this is continuing on and people are continuing the work of preserving and maintaining our democracy and making space for people to learn, celebrate, and vote with confidence whenever elections aren't the big talk in their community as much. So really exciting.
I think that's one of the greatest things that we see when we're on NView steering committee meetings is, you know, the diversity in the group is just incredible, from ethnicity to, you know, disability to just general makeup. It's so fun. And for us, you know, local elections, that's something that we focus on a lot at Ballotpedia. So people don't often realize that the local elections that you're seeing are the ones that affect your day-to-day activity most. And so we're super excited to help kind of people realize that just because it's not a presidential year, just because it's not a midterm election year, there are still major elections happening throughout the country. What are some of the most common challenges that you think voters face when it comes to being informed and prepared? And then how does NView help sort of tackle those problems?
Yeah, so I think particularly in a local election year, like you mentioned, a lot of people, especially like students. So I work for the Students Learn Students Vote Coalition. So that's like our main audience. But all first time voters in particular simply just don't know that there are elections happening because it's not like in their social media feed and people aren't like talking about it all the time. A lot of attention goes to these big national races every 4 years or every 2 years. So local elections can kind of like get lost in the political conversation in a non-federal election year. But like you mentioned, Carly, like they do have a bigger impact on everyone's day-to-day life. Like housing is decided, transportation, public safety, education, like all of these are decided at the local level. Beyond awareness, a lot of voters face a lot of other hurdles and unique to individual voters. So some have moved recently and they aren't sure if they're still registered to vote. Others feel overwhelmed by all of the information out there, finding it conflicting or misleading, and worry they don't know enough about the candidates or what they're voting for to actually like cast an informed ballot. Students in particular face a lot of logistical barriers. So confusing registration processes, strict ID laws, or long lines. We saw that last year, really, really long lines on college campuses. Temporary residents might feel disconnected or unsure about whether they can vote from campus or in a community that they're living in short term. And then there's the issue of trust. This is something that we've seen increase over the last few years. Some people like doubt that their vote even matters at all. So National Voter Education Week is really designed to tackle all of these challenges. It raises awareness about local elections while providing clear, nonpartisan tools to navigate that process. So how do I check if I'm registered? What's on my ballot? Where do I vote? What are my rights? And then by breaking it down into simple, reliable steps, InView really helps people feel confident rather than overwhelmed. But it's more than even just about logistics. Like we want to get to the meat of like, why should I even vote in local elections? And we really want to help people connect the issues that they care about, whether that's rent prices, public transportation, community safety, all of these things that people are saying are like affecting them negatively, positively in their lives. We want to connect those things to the ballot. That connection makes voting more meaningful to them. And it shows people that their voice actually matters in making change in their community, which is where it matters the most. Like it's so much harder to see the change happen at the national level, but you can see a new sidewalk get put in on the street because you voted for a city council member that advocated for your neighborhood. Like these are things that like tangibly would make it easier for you to go to the grocery store, things like that. So we really want to make local elections feel understandable and approachable. And InView really helps voters feel prepared to cast their ballot. And also, like by encouraging people to participate in elections this year, we're creating a more confident voter base, right? Like people will be confident voters next year and in 2028 and in 2050. And they can advocate for themselves and their communities by taking this 1 week to like learn all about how to vote.
Yeah, that's wonderful. A thing that we keep talking about is like, we're so here to combat misinformation and disinformation, and that's so important. But also, we're here to combat a lack of information, especially in local elections. It's hard to find information sometimes just because there is a lack of resources. So that's why I think NView is so important. You can take this week and learn what you need to know and find the resources like Ballotpedia to help you. Which is a really good segue into my next question, Zoe, which is what role do organizations like ours play in supporting voter education, and what's the most effective way to plug in?
Yeah, so I think for national organizations like us, it's really about helping people see the bigger picture and then guiding them through the details. So, like I said earlier, like a lot of first time or even occasional voters, they really care deeply about the issues rather than the candidates. Things like affordable housing, safety, climate, education, but they don't like always see how these things that they care about are like showing up on the ballot because there's this like like chasm of information between like actually understanding what like these words mean and like this like legal jargon and like seeing how that actually like impacts them day to day. So through groups like Ballotpedia, but a lot of our other partners as well. We can help connect these dots. So showing which local or state offices shape the decisions people care about, and we can make sure that that information is accessible, trusted, and easy to use. Well, one thing that I think is really important, specifically for our national organizations, is we shouldn't be doing this alone. Organizations and community leaders are critical partners in the work to building a strong democracy. Teachers, small business owners, faith leaders, mentors, coaches, student leaders, like these people are already trusted voices in their communities. And we can ask them to be trusted voices about democracy. Encouraging civic participation isn't just about adding another task to their already full plates. They have a 9 to 5, they're doing this work, but it's about showing them how they can amplify the work that they're already doing through the lens of voter participation. So, for example, a small business owner could highlight how zoning or tax decisions affect their neighborhood and the ability for customers and their neighbors to get access to that business. A teacher can show how a school board decision impacts students and their students' ability to learn effectively. And faith leaders can frame voting as a stewardship of community well-being. So at the end of the day, I would say that our job is not just to share deadlines or sample ballots. It's about shepherding people through the process so that they can feel confident, prepared, and see themselves as lifelong voters, which is the ultimate goal of all of this. Is we want to create a society full of confident voters. We want voting to feel familiar and approachable, not intimidating. And by helping people connect the dots and make sure that their everyday concerns are reflected on the ballot, more voices are going to be heard, and decisions that are going to reflect an actual community's values, not just the people on the outskirts that do show up for every election. And then civic engagement can become a more natural extension of the care and the work that organizations are already doing to continue in their communities. So it's really exciting to think about how we can be using our power as a national organization to encourage more community cohesion across the country.
And I think we always say, you don't know what you don't know. And so when all of us are in such niche national organizations, that when we all come together and we all share our resources, it's just such a cool thing because we can build off of everybody else's experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you had to give voters just a couple of simple, concrete steps to take this week, what would that be?
Yeah, so National Voter Education Week makes it really, really easy. We have a checklist that really breaks voting down into 5 simple steps. So check your registration, number 1. Look into your ballot. Like I said, you want to think about how the issues that you care about, you can vote for in your local elections in 2025. You also want to make sure you know what your options are for voting. So if you're going to vote early, if you're going to vote by mail, if you're going to vote on election day, make sure that you come up with that plan ahead of time, put it on your calendar, make time for it, make sure that you don't miss your opportunity to vote. And by taking these steps, it will really help you feel more confident and prepared, and that it's not so overwhelming to vote. But I will also say, I think at the end of the day, the real impact from something like National Voter Education Week is when you turn your own personal preparation into action by just starting even just one conversation with someone that you care about can make the difference between that person voting in local elections or not. You don't have to be an expert or push a candidate. We actually recommend that you don't, because you want people to come to their own conclusions, come to their own opinions. You just need to help someone connect the issues that they care about to what's on their ballot in their community. There are some really easy ways to integrate this into your everyday life. One of the ones I recommend is casually mentioning it when people are talking about local issues that are frustrating them, and sharing reliable resources, pointing someone towards sample ballots like with Ballotpedia or voter guides. We also at nationalvotereducationweek.org also has a bunch of sample texts and sample graphics that you can share to start these conversations easier. Or you can repost our posts from at National Voter Education Week. Just the simplest way to share some of these messages. But even small gestures like sending a quick reminder, hey, early voting started this week. Are you registered to vote? Like, let's make sure that we make a difference in our community, or talking someone through their plans for voting. All of these things will make a difference. People are more likely to vote if they're asked to do so by someone that they trust rather than some random person online. So we're really excited that InView like creates the infrastructure from taking personal preparation and turning that into shared action and making local elections a lot more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell a friend to tell a friend about National Voter Education Week is what we're saying. So Zoë, thinking about this year specifically, it's an off-cycle election, tons of local elections happening. What are you most excited about for this week?
I am really, really excited about the uniqueness of every local election and the long-term impact that these races can have on our communities. So some people are voting for mayor or city council. Others are voting for school board, governor, constitutional amendment, state Supreme Court seats. Like there is so much variety in the things that people can be voting for, but every decision like will shape the way a community is run, often for years to come. Equally important is making sure that the right voices are sharing that message. Like I mentioned earlier, voters don't want to hear from a big national campaign about like the decisions that are affecting their life. They want information from someone who knows their community, like a local library, a neighborhood organization, a coffee shop, hosting a candidate event, or voting rights trivia. These are the things that actually get people energized and feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And that's where our partners come in. Like I said, we have almost 600 partners across the country finding creative ways to engage their communities. So from hosting candidate panels and workshops, community fairs, civic themed events, to like literal hands-on tours of election offices. Every event is specifically tailored to the community and audience that they serve and intentionally curated to help people understand how local choices affect their everyday life and encourage participation in ways that feel personal and meaningful. I personally am like so inspired to see these communities make these elections their own and like not so focused on like national politics, and watch local voices connect people to the issues and decisions that shape their neighborhoods, schools, and local services for years to come. So I'm so excited for National Voter Education Week. And if anyone here is thinking about celebrating but hasn't done so yet, it's not too late. You can celebrate through the end of this week, and it's really simple. You can host an event, or you can just post on social media, text a friend, start a conversation. National Voter Education Week is what you make it.
Well, Zoe, thank you so much for being on with us. Abby and I have worked with NView for the last couple of years, and we just absolutely love it. It's a passion of obviously the three of us and everyone who sits on the committee. So we were really grateful to spend some time talking with you today and helping educate everybody else about Voter Education Week. And
Yes.
for our listeners, you can learn more about National Voter Education Week at the link in our show notes. We will be back later this week with another episode. So make sure you subscribe to On the Ballot wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Carly. Thanks so much to Zoe and Abby, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.